Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Today I'm going to be doing a video which is a contest entry for Hannah's channel, Omaha Introvert. Congratulations Hannah on your 500 subs. And some pretty interesting questions that she had. So there's 5 questions, so let's get started. First one, Hannah wanted to know where we're located, where we live. So I'm in Canada, as you probably can tell from some of my past videos in my Leafs hat. So I live in a suburb just outside of Toronto in province of Ontario. It's a suburb called Oakville. Okay. The second question was, oh shoot, I have to get the vinyl. Hold on one sec. Sorry about that. I realized I hadn't pulled the vinyl for the second question, which was, what record do we have that is has some amazing sound quality? And the first one that I thought of, I think there's a few that everybody has in their collections, but the first one that I thought of was this record right here, which is Dire Straits, which is a favorite band of mine, Dire Straits, and their last studio album, On Every Street. This is from 1991. So Dire Straits had their Monster album in the 80s and 85, which was their biggest selling album, Brothers in Arms. I'm sure you all know, Money for Nothing, Walk of Life. Then they went on a massive tour, then went on hiatus for a while and reconvened in 91 and came out with On Every Street, which I love as much as their other albums. And this never came out, as far as I'm aware, originally on vinyl back in 91. It might have, but I wasn't into vinyl at that time. I had the CD at that time, and it was an album that I played all the time. And then when I got back to collecting vinyl, all the earlier Dire Straits albums, their first 5 albums up to Brothers in Arms, were quite easily found on in used vinyl, because they sold quite a bit back in the day. But this is the one that I needed, so this was the I guess the reissue, and the sound quality on these Dire Straits reissues, like they did this one and the first 5 as well, are some of the most amazing sounding vinyl reissues out there. So really happy when a favorite band of yours has a record that sounds as pristine as this, and double LP, but of course no gatefold. That's the one thing that does piss me off. Okay, so that's my best sounding vinyl. The next question, Hannah wanted to know what decade of music was our least favorite. And I'm seeing a lot of people answer in this way, and I'm not trying to jump on any bandwagon, but I think my least favorite decade would have to be the current decade, 2010s. Not that there isn't good music out there, but I think the good music, you have to go looking for it, and really what's sort of commercial and what's on, you know, top 10 lists and things like that, the quality, in my opinion, for at least for my tastes, has gone down. It's you know, when you think back to an era or a decade like the 70s and what was popular on the charts, you know, in the early 70s especially, you know, there's some pretty outstanding bands like Zeppelin and Floyd and groups like that. I don't think you get that today. There's still good music out there, but I'm less passionate about it, and you have to go looking for it and rely on tips from other people, like in the VC and so forth, which is fine. And we found out about you know, music back then, you know, through word of mouth as well. But I think these days, what's popular and what's you know, on the charts, just look at the Grammys, for instance. Like I haven't watched the Grammys in years now, and it used to be a huge highlight. So 2010s, if I had to pick one. The next question, which is the question that I'm finding most interesting in watching people's responses to this, is Hannah wanted 5 recommendations as to 5 psych albums that we would recommend. And you know, psych music is one of my favorite kinds of music. I certainly don't have deep knowledge like some of the other folks out in the VC, like you know, Dan at Thoughts and Loops, or Randy at Dead Wax 66, Derek Fisher and some of those guys who you know, Rob Vinyl 79. Those guys really know they're obscure and rare psych. I like sort of more popular, more common psych stuff, and we'll pick up a tip every now and then from someone in the VC. So I'm going to show 5 albums that I think Hannah would like, and I'm going based on what she shared so far on her channel in terms of the kind of music that she listens to. So Hannah's favorite band, and it's the shirt that I'm wearing today, is The Who, which is also one of my favorite bands. And Hannah's most favorite Who album that she's shown in a video, which is one of her videos that I've really enjoyed. She did her top Who albums from least to favorite, and then she also did her top Pete Townsend solo albums. But her top favorite Who album, which is my number 2 favorite Who album, is The Who's third album, The Who Sell Out. And if there's one Who album that's described as having some psych leanings, it's definitely The Who Sell Out, which is a fantastic album. So I'm going to be basing my recommendations on the fact that this is Hannah's favorite Who album, and Hannah, I think these are other psych albums that I think you would like. You may already be familiar with most of them, if not all of them. But a favorite band, I guess, of Pete Townsend's back in the 60s was the Small Faces. And there's even a video of Pete Townsend in the crowd for a Small Faces, I guess, lip sync performance on some black and white show back in the 60s. And the band was doing the title track from this album, which is Ogden's Nut Gone Flake. This is a picture disc. Not holding it up, right? Ogden's Nut Gone Flake, their third album, and definitely by far their most psychedelic album. And there's a video of Pete Townsend and I think maybe Keith Moon, if I'm not mistaken, sitting in the crowd, sort of, really enjoying the title track of this album, which is an instrumental track. This is a fantastic album, very heavy psych leanings on this album, but also really accessible as well. So Hannah, I would definitely, I think for sure you would love this album if you don't know it already. So the Small Faces, Ogden's Nut Gone Flake, their third album. Another band that I'm hearing the Who were influenced by, and in fact, some people have even said that this concept album was an album that was that heavily influenced the Who's Tommy, and what gave Pete Townsend the idea to do Tommy. So the band is this band here, The Pretty Things, and the album in question that was their concept album that came, I think, roughly 6 to 12 months before the Who's Tommy. Their album was called SF Sorrow. This isn't the cover, and it isn't SF Sorrow, but this is a compilation of the Pretty Things, the psychedelic years from 66 to 70, but all the songs from SF Sorrow, all the songs from SF Sorrow are on this 2-disc compilation. Now, some of them are live versions of the songs, but the whole album is here, and is definitely going to be one of my next vinyl purchases for sure. So Hannah, heavily influenced the Who's Tommy, so I think you would enjoy this, The Pretty Things, SF Sorrow. The next band is another band that was around in the started in the mid to late 60s, and I guess one of the peers and contemporaries with the Who, and this band is The Kinks, and this is the Kinks album. The Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society. Again, I think their most psychedelic record, and certainly my favorite of the Kinks albums. So highly recommend this to you, Hannah. Fourth, I've shown this band several times before, but again, I think it's something that you would enjoy if you're not already familiar with. Everybody knows the album Forever Changes by the band Love, and I love that album, no pun intended, but I'm going to recommend this album over that album, which is Love's debut album. You can't go wrong with any one of Love's first 4 albums, even the 4th album called For Sale, which was already with a new lineup with Arthur Lee. But out of the first 4 albums, I think if push came to shove, I would pick this as my favorite Love album, so the debut. And finally, I was going to pick the Zombies, Odyssey, and Oracle, which is an unbelievable album, which you should, own that as well, Hannah. But I wanted to get something a little bit more current in there. And my current favorite psych band, who have deviated a little bit away from psych and gone a little bit more synth psych, I suppose, is the band Tame Impala. And this is one of my current favorite bands, and definitely heavily psych influenced, especially their first EP and their first 2 full lengths. This is their second full length album, and I guess most popular album amongst the core fans, Lonerism. So I would highly recommend this as a current psych album that you should at least check out. And the last question that you had was a bonus question. Show an album with a cat on it, either the front or the back. So I'm deciding to show the Stray Cats and their album Built for Speed. See the 3 Stray Cats members on the front there. And then on the back there you have a cat as well, which I guess was their logo or their symbol. Built for Speed. So this includes some well-known songs like Rock This Town and Stray Cat Strut. So there you go. Congratulations again, Hannah, on the subs. Well deserved. Keep up those videos, especially those Who related videos, and I'll see everybody later. Thanks a lot.